Hello, everyone. This is James at Prague. How are you? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 1st of February. First day of February. February. 28 days. I'm always thinking February. I always think it's beginning to get closer to springtime here in the States. I was just out in my yard. Hold on one second. I'll have comments. There we go. Hi, everyone. Hi, Linda Miller. Hello, Kim. Hi, everyone. There we go. I'll wait for people to come on. I was just in my yard in my garden. I was looking around at plants, and I was like, I thought something else is going on right now. And I looked. It was 5 minutes to 12. Like, I have soul care. Like, I was spaced out. It's a good thing. And just finished yoga too. So yoga to garden to space out to soul care. Woo! Don't even have my glasses on. My friend Renee, he's here producing in the background, so he'll put the comments on the screen or questions. So as soon as everybody comes in, very good. And I'm getting ready for tonight. Tonight we have a great show on both sides now and beyond. It's going to be a great topic tonight. It's about the intelligence of the spirit world, which you should, if you're really, you should check it out because the coincidences, synchronistic experiences, it's really what it is the hand we call the hand of God or the universe. There's patterns and ways and methods. We don't know all of them, but boy, we're going to talk a lot about the intelligence of the spirit world, how they do things they do, how do they manifest, how do things happen in life through the spirit world. It's pretty incredible when you consider it, all the different facets um, that things happen in life, but yet they're always aware. So it's pretty incredible. So we're going to talk about that, the immensity, the incredible, uh, I don't know, the movement of the universe. It's just so much, but we're in this limited three-dimensional world. We can only understand certain things, but I think it'll be a fascinating conversation tonight. So join us 6 o'clock right here on Facebook and YouTube for the intelligence of the spirit world. Okay, great. There we are. Oh, thanks. And also, I want to mention to everybody, we're doing really well with the Soul Care, the life coach course, Soul Life Coach, and it's people are really enjoying it. So I think we still have a couple. Yeah, we have some more room left. So um, this is last week, I believe. So check that out if you'd like to. I hope you did from that phone call. Oh, there we go. Life coaching. And people ask, "What's my favorite course in school, and what should I take?" I'm like, there's so many different ones that you really have to go on yourself and read the descriptions and just feel what you resonate toward because it's hard for me to tell you. I mean, they're all my babies, but and there are certain courses that are good for certain things, but I think it's better if you go on and feel your way through it. Okay, there we go. So today is the day which I like to do every once in a while, which is just questions and answers. I'm not going to do readings, so that's not today. I am putting together another date for an evening of spirit readings. We're actually changing the whole production of that, so it's going to look like you're actually going to a theater, right? Because things have changed so much with the COVID. I do see a light at the end of the tunnel, though. There is a bright light coming in, so I do think that's going to happen. I think maybe summertime is going to start really like May. I always said May of this year, so we'll see how accurate I was or am. So Renee is with me. Renee, if you would mind, I'll just answer questions. No readings, but general questions. I'd be more than happy to answer today. Every once in a while, I do that, just a whole hour of just answering questions. Okay. All right. So Renee, I'll leave it up to you to pick out anyone you'd like to and put them up here because okay. All right. So we have Joan. I don't have my glasses on. I've had many losses since 2011, but ah, but okay, dealing with much grief, but what there is beauty to it. There is very much so, Joan. Joanne, it's very true. Grief is a major lesson, a major one. It's a hard one because I wrote a book many years ago called Healing Grief. And I still think it's one of the best books on grieving. And people relate grief to just death, but it isn't. Grief comes in many forms, in many aspects, in many situations in life, such as empty nest syndrome. Let's say you move to a new neighborhood. Let's say you go back to school again. Let's say you buy friendships, divorce. Death is just one, but there are small deaths, and those things we have to grieve over those small ones too. Ends of friendships, really, it is a lot. So I think grief helps us to have gratitude and appreciate what we had. Next week's show would be Both Sides Now and Beyond. We're going to talk about gratitude. That's going to be next week, next Monday, but it's about gratitude. And it's true. Through grief, we learn a lot. So, and if it's a death, we're talking about actual death grief when someone physically dies. I always say to people, we have to have the courage to go within and see the gifts that were left behind by your loved one. And the courage is to open up that gift and use it. Yeah, so good. Thanks, Joanne. This is from Abby, and it's how do you deal with past life? How do you know what? How do you know deal with past life karma? Okay. I don't know what that means, but how do you deal with past life karma, I guess, is the question. So it's probably two in one. A couple of things here, which I think you're trying to say. Um, I do believe in past lives. Of course, I do. I do believe in past lives, maybe future lives. I think right now we're in this lifetime, but we're living simultaneously past and the future as one. And our choices and decisions and things that we do in this life, I believe, affect past lives and future lives. So karma are lessons. So karma is not negative necessarily. It's energy. It's what you do with the energy you're given. How do you create with that energy? Is it in a positive way to help people, to show kindness and compassion and love and healing, or do you choose to get over on people, to hurt people in some way, to destroy things, to be egomaniac, or think of it to be selfish? Whatever you put out, you're going to get back. So karma is really it's an energy that you have to live that you've created. I call it the boomerang. I call karma the boomerang. You will experience exactly what you give out in thoughts, words, and deeds. So right now, as you're watching this, you are living at some total right now of the karma or the energy you put forth before this lifetime or in this lifetime. You are living out the sum total of everything you've ever thought, acted, and said right now. You are the result of your past karma experiences. Okay. And part of the reason we don't remember, let me just go with this. Part of the reason we say, why can't I remember past lives? Well, I do believe that it's really grace from God, because if we came back on this earth and we didn't go through what's called the valley of forgetfulness, it's right before the soul comes into the baby's body. This goes through the valley of forgetfulness, and it's like a clean slate. I think that's very, very wonderful that the universe, God, whatever, does that. Because if you came into this vibration and you remembered everything you did in the past life or past lives, you would have a heck of a time, because you wouldn't be able to take the classes or lessons in this current life, because you'd be so obsessed with other things you didn't do or did, or uh, regrets, if you will, from other lifetimes. So that's why we don't know these things, or remember those things. Certainly can be regressed to past lives, that's for sure. Okay. We'll do the whole show on that, on past lives. Okay, now we have Candy. Is it Candy? Candy Johnson. How do we know the difference between a sign from the other side or just an incident? Hmm, couldn't they be the same? So part of tonight's show, which about the intelligence of the spirit world, how the spirit people go about to create an incident or a situation. And I do believe that, yes, are they always on top of that, make things happen? The spirit world is very much involved in our everyday lives. They really do. They create everyday lives for us, with us. They will work with us. What we put out there, they'll help us and assist us. That's why we got to be open and be responsible for what we put out there. So they will work with us. Um, I don't think it really matters then between a sign and a spirit. It is a sign. Is it something which is unusually in a space that shouldn't usually be there? For instance, is a hawk flying over your head all of a sudden and just stays circling right around you and then goes down, makes some strange movements? Or do you driving a car and you see a license plate that has your mother's name on it, or something like that? Or you go by and there's a truck and has the name or a phrase that your loved one used. I find there are signs all over, and they try really hard to get our attention, to get our mindset to look, to really catch our mind to look at that. Try really hard to do that. So it doesn't really matter if it's a sign or incident. If it's a sign, if we think it's a sign, what I usually do is say thank you, and I'll just listen for them to say something. Thanks, Kenny. Good question. This is from Greg. How do you identify signs? Do we just feel them and know they are signs? That's a good one, Greg. Usually will. Well, it all depends. because I'm so analytical sometimes, I'll send out a thought, "Can you please come through with a sign the next week, the next 3 or 4 days?" And just be open to whatever happens. And let's say it's a particular person that you want a sign from. Just open up your mind. Don't create it to happen. Don't force it to happen. Just be open to whoever happens, and you'll notice eventually that something your mind, your eyes are drawn to something all of a sudden, and, "Oh, I wouldn't have seen that before. I didn't pay attention to it." You don't have to walk around always being on edge, like looking for something. Just live your everyday life, and they will actually impress you to look for that sign or feel something, or you'll hear something from someone. It's like you'll just feel it inside. You'll know. And this is from Cassie. Hi, Cassie. I'm always trying to stay open spiritually. Well, I think that's a very good thing. We all should, right? Hold on, some water. I try keeping my heart open and have a few of very good and have a flow of positivity. Very good. That's perfect. But I struggle. Oh, here we go. I struggle so much with it. So why is that, Cassie? Let's see. I face many difficulties, but want to move forward. How do I do that? And can I become better myself? Well, number one, you're doing the right things. You're really doing the right things. In that, remember that everything in this world is temporary, and everything is movement, and everything is really tests. Being tested all the time. I think the best thing you're doing, which I think you're doing really, really well, is keeping your heart open. And also, okay, opening up spiritually, keep your heart open, and a flow of positivity. That's great. I think also on top of that, you should have a sense of yourself. So number one, loving yourself, having that relationship with that little girl inside you, right? The little boy inside me is laughing every day and joking. I don't think we should take things too seriously. So don't take things too seriously, sweetheart. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. It is what it is, and that's all that it is. Don't make more of it than it is. And the positivity, you can be able to know when something's positive, when something is loving, when something is fulfilling you in a very strong spiritual way. And when you get to that point, you'll see a lot of people that don't see that, or you'll become across people with limited belief systems or behave a different way, and that's fine for them, but not for you. So we have to remember to have a relationship with ourselves first, and that will keep you in that positive space. Go through what I call is the art of discovery. And the art of discovery is discovering something new about yourself every day, about how you think about something, your belief system, your values, how you look at something in a different perspective. Maybe someone taught you something you met that day that you didn't know about yourself. Find something, that magic discovery, because listen, we're incredible beings. We're like snowflakes, each one of us, or diamonds, and we shimmer every day. We shimmer, so try to find out what's making you shimmer that day. What aspect of yourself have you not discovered? Laugh at yourself. Have fun with yourself. The moment you do that, fun and laugh, the vibration goes right up. And enjoy yourself. And see that you are a light in the world and you're unique. And your light needs to be here. That's for everybody here. Okay, thank you. Colleen Elizabeth. Oh, Meeks. These must be Irish. I've heard people see spirit differently. Very true. We all see spirit differently because everybody's different. So some people are much more visual. Some people much more feelers. Some people auditory. So it depends on your actual makeup. You could be your DNA, your actual makeup of who you are. Okay. I'll see a picture, and in it, I will see black and white. A black and white person looking. Wow. Okay. Let me start this over again. A lot of time, I'll see a picture, and in it, I will see a black and white person looking thing that I would normally not see if I were in that person. Yeah. You know what, Colleen? Send me that again because I think it's written in a strange way. I don't fully get what you're saying, so rewrite that one. We'll go back to you. I'm sorry. Don't quite understand it. Candy Johnson. If both parents have passed close together and there's a sign, how do you know which parent it is? Well, when there's a sign and you see that sign or be sense of it, stop and ask, who is this from? And pause your mind, and you do it with the breath. Who is it from? And just listen quickly, and you'll get it. And then you train your mind that way to communicate with spirit. You'll train your mind to open up and pause, and then come through and send you that. That's how it works. It's so simple, but we tend to make it more complex than it needs to be. It's the simple thoughts, right? Random thoughts. Good. Thanks, Candy. Here we go. Hello there, Miss Alina. I've had a lot of grief in my life. Yes, I think everybody here has. I think it's part of this human condition, grief. It's how we deal with the grief. Just like all of life, how we deal with life, how we deal with situations, how do we make the right choices? What's right for us? How do we see ourselves in the world? How do we see ourselves in the relationship with that person? Um, Hopefully they've taught us something about ourselves, about the relationship with each other. Hopefully that relationship has taught us how to love more, because that's what relationships are about, how to appreciate more and have more gratitude. Okay. I am still dealing with it, but I'm slowly transforming. Perfect. So you're slowly transforming in that. When we go through grief, we have to remember that it's a lesson for us. But once we kind of get through that lesson or understand that lesson more and complete that lesson, just think, in a future date, you will be able to help another person who's going through the exact experience of the grief that you went through before that, because you'll have the expertise on it. So that you can use that to help someone else later on. It's just like in the spirit world, when certain people pass over, they'll be met by a person, they'll met by their family and friends, but also people's jobs. It is to greet people. They greet them, and it may be the person who has the exact same death condition as a person passing over. Why? Because they can understand it. They went through it themselves, so they can help you over. That does happen. Okay, I'm breaking these down as you can see. Mary, can children remember past lives? Very much so. If so, when does the remembering disappear? Very good question, Mary. So remember, number one, children have just come from the spirit world. So their mindset is still that of the spirit. That the way they look at life or their perspective is of spirit. So it can get very frustrating for children. If you notice, sometimes there's a little impatience there, because in the spirit world, you think of something and it materializes. But in this three-dimensional physical world, you think of something, it doesn't happen right away. So there's, wait, what does this happen? I'm used to this happening right away. So I always say with children, you should ask them if they say something about a past life, or I used to be your mommy, or I used to be whatever, or I used to go across this bridge. I remember this bridge. Question them, ask them, and write it down. And write this down. I always would say, question kids, first 7 years of their life if they say something. It's around the time of 7, 8, 9 when they start school. It's usually, and I've heard that physically in the brain, there's actually some change that happens, but it seems that, the child has to be much more aware now of their brains, of the mental part of themselves to do schoolwork, to comprehend, reading, arithmetic, so forth, in this human way, and we get so pressured by adults, by parents, by teachers, by society to to get better and better to embrace the mental part of ourselves and to expand it, that we forget about that spiritual part, that heart part. We forget how we feel, and now we start having to think. So we really have to give a lot of energy to the thinking part of our mental selves, and in that process, we tend to get more caught up with the everyday three-dimensional human world, and we forget about our origin, our soul self, until probably around the age of mid-30s, when sometimes life is not working out, was, "What's wrong with me? Why can't," and we go back to that point of, "Oh, my childhood." That's when I started saying yes to people, and a lot of us become yes people. We pleasing people because we want to please them. We want their approval. We want their love. So we do what they want, and if we're not careful, we'll get caught up in that codependent, loving relationship where we do things just to get love, and sometimes we get into that space of unconsciously doing that. So we always got to remember, you really got to do things for yourself, love yourself, and be who you are. Don't try to be anybody else. What other people think of you is none of your business. Remember that. Okay. Thanks, Mary. Julie, do animals know when you tell them you will take care of them with a surgery coming up? Yes. So animals are. Where's my animal? She's probably sleeping down here. She is. I just have a whole new relationship with my daughter, my four-legged daughter, because she was in surgery. She was not surgery. She was very sick a couple of weeks ago. I I talk with my animals all the time. Telepathically, that's how we communicate. So they communicate in total thought. So before you, let's say, feed your animal, have a thought. They do it with pictures. So send a picture. So you can send to your baby, say about the surgery, and talk to them about the surgery by sending pictures to them. And that'll be very good. They understand it very easily if you send pictures. Okay, that's the best way. And if you send an emotion with that picture saying, it's going to be okay, mommy's going to be here for you. Just maybe a picture of you holding the doggy or petting the doggy. That helps. So remember, they communicate with pictures. Good. Thanks, Julie. Good luck. This is from Susan. What if a person that didn't believe in communicating with deceased loved ones ever come to you when they pass? Would a person that didn't believe in communicating, yes, if they didn't believe it, then would they come to you? And certainly they would. When you pass out of this human condition and you get out to that natural, very natural world, the spirit world, which is our home, there seems to be an awakening and there's an expansion of consciousness, a different level of consciousness, and we become to be again, it's acclimation. We got to acclimate ourselves to the new conditions that we find ourselves in, and it's easier, of course, to acclimate in those conditions if you have an awareness of those conditions. So if you do have an awareness that life continues on, there isn't such thing as death, and that you will see your loved ones and so forth. It's much better than someone passing over, thinks that's it, that's the end of it. No way. And it seems that it might be a little bit more difficult for those who don't believe, in that they see their dead father and mother and sister and brother there. Like, what are you doing here? You know, you're dead. And they say, well, you are too. Well, no, I'm very alive. Well, you're actually dead. Look, there's your body. So it kind of shakes them. It shakes them, and eventually they will open up to that possibility, that reality, if you will, um, that they live on. When there is communication with the spirit world and the human world, it seems that the medium, when the medium's working, there's a beautiful light that is like I don't want to say a Klieg light, a beautiful bright light goes through ethers. And the many people in the spirit world who help that communication to be, such as your guides who work with you and gatekeepers, so forth, they will work with this. And in the spirit realms, I've heard that there's this brilliant light, and that there are those folks walking around doing something, they get caught up in that light. And they say, what is that? Then they're curious. Now, they might have never tried communication. They might not believe in communication with the living. They don't might not. How could this happen? Just like on this side, some people don't believe it. Over there, they don't believe it either. So, but many times I find that that light is will get their curiosity going. Very much like in our three-dimensional world where you're walking down a street and there's a party going on at a house. What do we tend to do as we walk down the street? We'll tend to look over at where the party's going on, what's happening over there. Same thing in spirit realms. When this light goes around, they see there's a warmth and there's love with that light. They'll go over and look and see, oh, there's communication. Now, they have never experienced that before. They don't know how to do it. And so they just maybe will watch the process of communication. They do that. Many times I've had in demonstrations with 200 to 1,000 people in my audience. I'm very aware that there are beings above the audience, these spirits above them, and it's almost like a choir. That's the way I could describe it to you. And I notice that those beings have nothing at all to do with the people in the audience. Not related to them or nothing. They are merely observing. They're observing the process of communication so that at another time they may have the possibility to communicate and they want to learn how to do it. So that does happen quite a bit. So when someone goes toward this light there and they're looking, they're just curious. One more thing about this, because I find it fascinating, because you are what you think. When you pass over, if you're a very, very extremist religion, you will end up in a place where people are just thinking that way. In the Bible, it says, "My Father has a house with many mansions." What I believe that to mean are the various spiritual levels, belief systems that we all have. So you'll have your community of Buddhists, your community of Islamic, you'll have a community of Shinto, you'll have all different types of belief systems over there, pragmatists, everything. So I always say you shouldn't just believe one thing. You should believe in everything, many things. Anyway, I was doing a demonstration once, and I was giving this girl in the audience a message from her aunt who had passed over, and it was a good message. I was getting into this, and out of my left side, on my right side, peripheral, I was very aware because as we work as a medium, you're opening up to all the fields around you. And I was very aware that my field was impressed with the man, and I looked over and clairvoyantly I saw this gentleman, spirit man, and he had his arms folded, and he walked over. He was on the audience, the floor there, and he walked over toward me. Now he didn't know if I could see him or not, but I acknowledged him. He went, "Oh, that's no, I can see you." And I knew. I just knew telepathically, I just knew that the girl I was speaking to the audience was his daughter. And I said to him telepathically, as I'm continuing with this, I said, "Do you want to speak to your daughter?" And he was folding his arms and he said, "Why would I? I didn't believe in this in life. Why would I believe it now?" See? So it's the same mindset. So I said, "That's fine. Just watch." So he watched the reading and he saw the accuracy, he saw how it was connecting, and he got closer and closer and closer. And eventually, probably 10, 15 minutes, he wanted to give it a try. And we did, and it was a great communication. And it changed his mind. You see, it opened up his mind. So we can open minds here on the earth and also in the spirit world. So that does happen. And by the way, one more thing. When we, let's say we have a relative who didn't believe in any of this or whatever it might be, the situation, by our living here, by how we deal with situations and choices, how we handle them, we will teach those in the spirit world how to handle them. And they'll often come back and say, "Wow, I never would have known how to do that. You taught me how to do that. You taught me how to handle that situation. I never would have done that. I never would have thought about it that way." So learning does not happen just here. Learning continues in the spirit realms. And many times they'll use us and the human to understand things. So it goes back and forth. Interesting. Yeah, good. Thank you, Susan, for that good question for the long answer, but good one. Karen, watched you Talking to Heaven last night. Loved it. Oh, thank you, Karen Isberg. Yes, Talking to Heaven. Thank you very much. It was a good movie, very good movie. It was originally a mini series for CBS Network here in the U.S., and it was based on my first book, Talking to Heaven, a story, funny inside story about Talking to Heaven, written in '97. Number one New York Times best for 26 weeks. And an interesting story here is that um, NBC, another network, they bought the rights to the book to make it as a TV series or whatever, TV show, a movie, one movie, and they never completed the option. They never used that option up. So the option went up. They ended the option, and CBS bought it immediately. And CBS loved the book, and they wanted to make it into a mini series. I found out. This is how spirit works. I'll tell you. They did this. This is a complete example of how spirit works with the synchronicity and the intelligence of the spirit world, because they're pulling strings. So they hired a writer, and the production company hired a writer, and he was sitting on an airplane, and he was writing a script. And this lady that the seat, it was the empty seat, and it was her seat, and she never likes to talk to people on planes. Mary Virgin, the actress, and she sat down, and she heard her father say to her, his father in spirit say, "You need to ask him about what he's writing." So she reluctantly said, "Hi, what are you writing?" And he said, "Well, I'm this is so funny you're sitting here because I'm writing a book, a script based on a book, Talking to Heaven." And she goes, "I know that book. I've given it to everybody." And he said, "And I was just thinking of you would be a great character. Here it is." So, anyway, to make a long story short, she ended up doing that part, and her husband Ted played me, and it was a great success for a miniseries for CBS, Talking to Heaven, and it's a really good drama based upon my work, and based upon loosely, there's a mystery in there, and it's based upon some of the work I did. And I used to work for the FBI and in kidnapping cases, so I mixed that. I worked with the writer very closely with him, um, and it was a really great experience. John Pillmeyer. It was a great experience I had with that from beginning to end, and because of that, the Ghost Whisperer came out of that. So that's how the Ghost Whisperer was born, because of Talking to Heaven. After Talking to Heaven, there was another movie, CBS, and with Anne Heche and another lady who came up to, it's called The Dead Will Tell. That was the second one. And it was filmed in New Orleans. And I went down there for the filming, beginning the filming, and was sitting around, and they're setting the setup for a shot. And Anne Heche was off doing her own thing. And this lady walked up to me. She goes, "Excuse me, Mr. Van Prague, can I ask a question?" I was like, "Yes." I know she was one of the actresses, a supporting actress. I just finished doing this pilot. I'm wondering, can you tell me if it's going to do well? And I looked at her. I usually wouldn't answer stuff like that, but I just got this overwhelming sense. And I said, "It's going to do very well. They're going to buy it, and you're going to be a household name. You're going to be very well known. So remember, I told you this." Well, um, they did buy the pilot. It was called Desperate Housewives, and that was Eva Longoria. But years later, when I was doing Ghost Whisperer, the stage of Ghost Whisperer was right next door to their stage. So Desperate Housewives and Ghost Whisperer next stages together. And I was in the Universal cafeteria eating some lunch. And I was sitting at a table by myself, I think, or I was with somebody, maybe another producer. And coming down the aisle is Eva Longoria. So it's been years now. So I look at her, she looks at me at the exact same time, and she screams, "What?" And I said, "What?" So I ran over and I said, "Well, Was that accurate? Did it change your life?" And we laughed, and yeah, so it really has. So that was an interesting story with that. So there you go. It's long answers. Thanks, Karen. Katie, hi, Katie. When my father passed away last year on September 16th, I felt everything he was feeling, and through, yeah, and you will. Many times you do feel that because you're also connected to soul with a soul level, energetic level. You're connected, so you will feel that, of course. And 3 weeks after he passed, he came to me in the airport as infinitely expanding consciousness, just like we talked about. Very, very good. Of love and joy. Fantastic. He was huge. Like just his eyes and smile took over. It's great. Took over the entire airport. At the same time, it felt like he was everywhere and everything and nowhere at the same time. Great one, Katie. It was the most amazing experience I've ever had, and he repeated that twice after that. Well, that's fantastic you had that experience, Katie, because that's very, very close to what they say it is. There's a sense. I had a near-death experience once, and there was that similar thing where I knew I was part of everything, without a doubt. And there's an expansion of consciousness. Exactly. It's the same thing when we meditate. We put ourselves in an altered state of consciousness, and I've done it so many times with people. And you're in this lovely state, and then you got to bring them back into the body, the level of the human consciousness. I tell you, when you get back, everybody does not want to come back. Saying, "Oh, why couldn't you left me there?" Same thing with this, And I did my near the experience. I didn't want to come back, and there's such a limiting, dense limitation there, vibration on this human three-dimensional world. It's like, I've never once had a spirit come back and say, "Oh, I really miss that body. I really miss that diseased body. I really want." Never, never in 40 years. So, because that's our home. This is our little suit, our vessel here. We got to go through this little vessel, driving it around to learn our lessons in this human world. But that's very true. There's an expansionness of awareness, expansionness of awareness. And this is very interesting too, Katie. It brings me to the point of, doing mediumship readings. There have been times when people want to hear a certain particular evidence, certain facts, like something, a nickname they used to call them, or the address they lived at, or whatever it might be. And I tell the person, it's like Oprah asked me this, and Oprah asked me on a show, and I watched this the other day, so I remember it. She says, "Why can't they just come through and just tell you their name and the street they lived at?" And it's like, wouldn't it be great if they could do that? But we have to remember that there's such a level of expansion of consciousness that they're out here in this expanded space. And for them to come back and remember the very limited thing about a name or a street, it's just so it's just so different now because it's almost like they have to go down 8 feet of water, sit down at the bottom of the pool, and have a conversation. I mean, that's how dense it is. And for them to think about what street and be back to that human condition, they just left it. So they're not in that mindset or headspace, I guess you'd say, for that. So it's hard. So what really does come through clearly is the energy, the essence of that personality. That is really we can prove survival of death because the consciousness, that essence of them survives, and the essence is the spirit. You see, that's the spirit of them, the essence of them. So that's what it's about. I think the evidence is just gravy on the cake, gravy on the whatever. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Debbie. How do you find meaning in life when never what? How do you find meaning in life when you never had any? What? How do you find meaning? I mean, and you didn't find peace in your heart when all of you. Oh my Lord, Debbie, Debbie, Debbie. How do you find meaning in life when so you never had okay, and all you've had is sadness, Debbie. That is sad. So today, starting today, Debbie, you can change that. You can change that. So if you don't have, you just have sadness. Why do you have sadness? You can change it. You can't wait for someone to make your life happy. You can't wait for someone to make your life joyful and happy and thrilled and peaceful. And you got to do it yourself, honey. So you got to do the work yourself. You've got to be responsible for your own happiness. No one's going to make you happy but yourself. And that's part of the fun, sweetheart. That's part of the journey of light, of happiness, of joy, of it's joy is joy, Joy is part of the journey. Journey. So you have to find, Debbie, within your being, those little things that make you happy, those little things that bring joy back to your soul. Go back to that little girl. By the way, you definitely should sign up for 28-day transformation course, please, please, because that will bring you right back. And because it sounds to me, Debbie, that You've forgotten that little girl inside. You've forgotten who you are. Maybe you lived your whole life trying to please people, like I talked about earlier, being a people pleaser, that you've forgotten your own self. And then you have certain expectations on people, and they won't meet them. They're unrealistic expectations. No one can love you more than you can love yourself, honey. So if you have sadness and joy, then that's your responsibility. Why have you said? Why won't you find yourself having joy and sadness? Is it because people told you a certain thing about yourself and you believe their truth instead of who you are? So, Debbie, I want you now to stop and start growing up and turn around and start loving yourself. Now, I'm going to give you a little mantra to use too. And I want you to write this in your mirror. And this is for everybody who has this situation. You're going to write this mantra and you're going to say it 3 times in the morning and 3 times at night. Okay. And it is the following: healthy am I, happy am I, holy am I. Healthy am I, happy am I, holy am I. Healthy am I, happy am I, holy am I. And so it is. I'm just saying for everybody who has that problem, that situation, it's a mindset. It's your own mindset. Life is very hard, and now right now we're living in a really tough conditions in this world. Again, and people can take the conditions of COVID condition right now, and it can destroy them. It could be the end of them. And I would just say it's only a temporary thing, and you got to find that strength within yourself. What makes you strong? It's just a condition. It's not who you are. And this too will change. But we got to have that sense of self and loving self. And I think sometimes it takes responsibility to stop and look around in your life and see what your values are, what's important to you, how you treat people, where you're placing yourself in a situation in life. So it's a great time to look into yourself, and find out who you really are. Okay, next question. Melissa, do you do private readings online? I do not do private readings, Melissa, online, but I stopped many, many years ago to teach and start my school and so forth. But on my website, which you should all just please sign up your email and website. I don't abuse it. Vanpraag.com, vanpraagh.com. And if you go there and sign up your email, you'll get the newsletters. And again, I don't abuse it because I can't stand it when you sign up for something like a store and you buy something, next you get 10 emails like, oh, I hate this. So I don't abuse it. And you can sign out and unsubscribe anytime. But you really should check it out and become part of the community. On vanprog.com, there is a resource page. And the resource page lists all these mediums that I personally, incredible people, um, some of the best in the world, and also students of mine. And there are psychics and there are healers. And they're very, very, every one of them is fantastic. So they'll help you. Okay. Okay, one more. Yes, Desiree. Everything you said validated based on my experience. Thank you, worldly spiritual insight. You're welcome, Desiree. That's how you live your life. I always get my truth based upon experiences. And if certain things happen over and over again, that's my truth about it. So thank you. I'm glad that resonates with you. It's just my experience too. All right, one more question, then we'll scoodle. Yeah. Can our souls travel to where our deceased loved ones are, even though we're still alive? You certainly can. You certainly can. Again, a day in the spirit world is one of my courses in my class, in my school, and I bring you to the other side of life. I help you to learn how to leave the body and go to a certain level of consciousness. We're actually with them. You spend a day with them. A day in the spirit world is called. It's great. There's nothing holding you back but your own self. So yes, of course you can meet them. You can see them. Happens all the time. Um, I hope you can join us tonight. So please do. I hope you can. Both sides down and beyond. That's at 6 o'clock Pacific time, and we'll talk about the intelligence of the spirit world. So I hope you'll be there. And thank you everybody for being here today and sharing the space. And again, my YouTube page, you should check that out because James Starseed, that's me, has some wonderful videos there. Just finished a new one with my doggy. So thank you everybody, and God bless you. See you next.